So
I remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. You remember what?
I one year at Summerfest here in Milwaukee, this big music festival, and they have all these permanent stages. But the problem is, over the years, they kept on adding more stages. And so there would always be this bleed from one stage to the next. And the last time Ray Charles played there, I had just got done playing my set, and I was in the vehicle being shuttled back to the parking lot. And all of a sudden, came over the mic or the intercom between all the people that work in there. It's like, shut down all the other stages around Ray, or else, because Ray's not going to play because he can hear the bleed from the other stages. So they did. All the other stages had to stop so that Ray could do his thing. And that they probably couldn't hear anything on stage.
Oh man, we were playing outdoors in San Diego, and there was a seagull or something in one of the trees. And he kept on like saying, somebody got to do something about that bird. Because he kept on like he wanted security to climb up the tree and get rid of it. It's one of those things. His ears obviously are very, very well advanced. And at the end of the very first tour, Ray came up to me and said, "Listen, I'm working on some recording in LA at my studio, and I'd like you to come out." Now, I heard I got the skinny from the bass player who, I spent a lot of time with at the time. He said, we were in the studio with Ray Charles like all day long a week or two ago. And basically he paid the band members $40 a track. And if you're working on the same song all day long, you got $40.
Oh,
so when Ray asked me about recording, I said, "Well, Mr. Charles, I'd be honored to come out. I just want you to know I make double scale." And Ray goes, "Double scale? Honey, I don't pay God double scale. But you come out and I'll take care of you. And what am I going to do? Sing no?"
Right.
Oh, the Jewish guitar player plays on the Christmas record, The Spirit of Christmas. And when that came out, I felt like, oh my God, this will be here forever.
Right.
Hey, Charles, and yearly.
Right.
So we worked out something, and, he asked me what I felt was fair, what I wanted. And I actually asked for twice as much as what I wanted because I figured he would
go down. Yeah.
And he actually paid me what I asked, which was double from what so anyway, that's actually another lesson in regards to musicians. You're only worth as much as you're willing to ask. Right. And there is something to be said about valuing yourself, not undervaluing yourself. And it never hurts to ask for a little bit more than you want, because worst case scenario, if somebody wants to work with you, then they'll adjust the budget. And I often, when people ask me about my fees, I'll say, well, look, I really prefer to be able to work with people's budgets, but this is what I like to get.
Sure.
And so that way you represent yourself as a professional who respects himself or herself, and you put your fee out there. And then if someone says, great, then you got your fee. And if someone says, and then you can kind of go, well, look, how can we meet?
Sure.
So
exactly.
Just a little tip.
Oh, I like it.
Right.
You'll be interested to hear this. I've told this story before in one of these interviews, but my wife and I, just for whatever reason, we have this old house. It's 1908, and some of the windows are kind of old. And we thought, well, let's get a quote on windows. And when the guy told us the quote, we almost fainted. And he goes, "Here's the deal with windows. Whatever you think it's going to be, double it and add $5,000. I was like, I think I've just got my new bargaining position. Whatever you think it's going to be, double it and add $5,000, and I'm your man.
Good story.
I don't think that'll work out, but
yeah, right, exactly.
But it does. Apparently, if you do windows, that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, again, guys like you and I we've been doing this a while. And musicians artists in general are often underpaid.
Sure.
And it's important to kind of understand what your value is and what you feel is appropriate. and you can always check into what other people are making who are in a similar position and blah, blah, blah. But
Right.
these are little helpful tips to my musician
Absolutely.
artist friends who everyone should be, taken care of, because we offer something very important out to the world.
Indeed. Yeah, it's an interesting rope to walk.
Yes.
There's always the do you take the big bang up front and get them to pay a lot? Then they're going to be like, yeah, but I'm not going to use that guy anymore because he's too expensive, versus something that's fair.
Yes.
And then might last exponentially longer. And then of course somebody might say, take the more now, and who cares about, what I mean? These are the things you have to weigh, it's, as you saw.
Well, and that's what's nice about saying, look, I have my asking price, but I prefer to be able to work with people's budgets. So if you kind of set that up front a little bit, then people know that you're malleable. If they take advantage of that, well, that's another possibility.
Right. Exactly.
But anyway, how are you?
Let's talk to us a little bit about, I'm always fascinated about the gear thing. And we've had talks about stuff like, when you were getting ready to go out with Crosby, I remember you said, I think about using this amp, but I'm thinking about using this pedal. And so talk about that over the years. I mean, because I think it's important also for people to realize is that, in a perfect world, you'd like to use X, Y, and Z, but that might be way too loud for a situation. And then there's also the situation of, I have relationships with certain manufacturers who are going to provide a certain level of support. So when I'm going over to Europe and we can't bring our stuff over, they're going to provide stuff for me. So talk about that walk. You know what I mean?
You got it. So for many years, my whole makeup was, I have a pedal board that can do all of the things that I kind of need it to do. And then I could kind of work with any decent amplifier that gets a nice clean sound. So that way I can just, have that intimacy of a sparkly, clean sound. For many, many years, I was using two boogies in stereo with a TC chorus pedal when I used to enjoy this chorus sound more than now.
That was the one to get.
Yeah, I've gotten to a point now where I actually like just hearing the sound of the clean guitar messed with, because that's tone, you know. But anyway, so I had this pedal board that had compressor, it had delay, it had a volume pedal, it had distortions, pretty much could, and I use that as a kind of a go-to, whether it's a recording session or a tour or whatever. As time has gone on, when I got away from the boogies, which, by the way, as many people would know, have a clean sound and a dirty sound, and you would kind of have to tweak the amplifier so the clean sound was spongy enough for me. I would often put up the initial input just so it wasn't too squeaky, no character sound versus you're driving the tubes a little bit. And then once that was set, I'd go to the overdrive section and get it to where I got a nice overdrive sound that wasn't too metallic sounding, where it wasn't too fuzzy, where you could hear the tone and the singing quality of guitar. So that has been my mantra, if you will. I'm not, when I use an overdrive sound, I love it to be warm and earthy, Carlton-y, Robin Ford-y, just where you're really hearing the note and it's singing versus, Yngwie or whatever. So different amplifiers I've found after I got away from working with boogies for years, and I still love them, but I found that every amp brings out a total different character in your playing.
Sure.
And I love that. I love the fact that I can plug into, I bought a mashless and used that for a while. And I've been, I'm very fortunate that Graham Nash gave me a overdrive special Dumble.
Nice.
Which is an unbelievable fire. And I did take it out on a Crosby, Stills and Nash tour where we were playing outdoors and it started to rain and the covering of the roof, which was tarped, and this big thing of water went like 2 feet away from my Dumble, and I realized I can't take this amplifier out on tour anymore.
Right.
it's just irreplaceable, or as Crosby calls it, it's made out of unobtainium.
Yes, exactly.
So that, kind of is a studio amp that I use. And I have a lot of different amps, and I love Two Rocks because they kind of emulate that sound.
Sure.
There's a number of amplifier makers, the Bluto Tone, and, there's a lot of fantastic boutique amplifiers. And then Koch makes a fantastic, go figure, a fantastic amplifier.
Yeah.
And I heard the amp that you designed, that you helped them design it at the NAMM show. I'm blown away, and I am looking forward to actually acquiring a head for the next Crosby tour.
Yes.
Work out. So they were kind of Chris from Koch was
Chris Fingerhoods.
Yeah, what a sweetie, and he brought one. And I played it one night when we were in driving distance from where he was. I can't even remember because the dates. I go from one place to the other. And it's like, where am I now?
Right.
But that amp sounded great. And I think there might be some videos of that gig online somewhere. So anyway, I'm a little bit of an amplifier snob, but I'm gregarious too. And the thing that's, like I mentioned, that's so fun about trying out different amplifiers, they bring out this different side of your creativity that it's very exciting to get a chance to try different things and then see how it reacts with your rig, with your guitar.
Right.
So I enjoy now mixing it up, trying different things, and the only way really to get a chance to see what it's going to do is to just get out there and use it.
Indeed.
I mean, you could sit in your room and that'll be one way to do it. But the real litmus test is to get it out on the gig. And every gig, has its own sonic requirements too.
Absolutely.
So you may, if you have an old school kind of gig, then maybe your Fender, Deluxe or your whatever might be something that feels really good. But it is fun to have various instruments, various amplifiers. And now that I'm a married guy, it's the one place I could still be promiscuous. So